The EU remains gravely concerned by the humanitarian situation in Gaza. The continued policy of closure is unacceptable and politically counterproductive. We would like to reiterate the EU's call for an immediate, sustained and unconditional opening of crossings for the flow of humanitarian aid, commercial goods and persons to and from Gaza. We're on our way. By Free Gaza Team, May 29, 2010. After tremendous pressure from the Greek Cypriots, reneging on their agreement with us, we were forced to take our MPs and activists to Famagusta yesterday, on the Turkish/Cypriot side of Cyprus. We spent all day going from one port to the next, surrounded by helicopters and police. Clearly our deal with Cyprus officials had fallen through, and we ended up being pawns in a political soap opera. The Greek Cypriot members of parliament, the ones who had worked so hard to get us permission to leave, were outraged. These parliament members finally told us to go to the north. If they could, they would. The Cypriot government said they made their decision because the Republic of Cyprus is fighting for its survival, but it didn't bow to pressure from Israel. As they said this, they bowed their heads. See www.cyprusmail.com weblink flotilla/20,100,529. We made a deal with the Cypriot government that we would board the high-profile passengers and members of parliament from Cyprus. We would board with no media coverage. We would not bring our boats into Cyprus. We would take small boats out to our own ships and board past the 12-mile territorial limit. Authorities mandated that we couldn't even do that, essentially telling us that, even if we board small boats anywhere in Greek Cyprus from any port, we could not travel outside their territorial limits to go to Gaza. 27 people were supposed to board, including 9 Cypriots and 2 Greeks. None of them could come with us. Then our 2 American passenger boats mysteriously had mechanical problems at the same time. Challenger 2 was able to get 14 delivered to the Mavi Marmara, then limped into the harbor in Limassol, after being harassed by Cypriot helicopters, essentially forbidding us to bring our wounded boat into port. See www.youtube.com weblink go3gins. Our other boat, Challenger 1, headed toward Famagusta with 16 passengers. It too was wounded, something wrong with the steering. By the time we were jerked around yesterday, we had started at 7 AM. By 10 PM, we had nowhere to board, and our boats were out of commission. But we all have Gaza fever, and no one was giving up. It has taken us all day to find someone on the Turkish side to ferry some of our passengers out to the flotilla, which has been patiently waiting 5 hours away from Cyprus. At 6 PM, 20 of our passengers left for the flotilla, and the Swedish MP and the 3 German MPs are on board. Hedy is not, and we are heartsick that, once again, she will not be able to go to Gaza. The flotilla leaves for Gaza early in the morning, and should arrive tomorrow afternoon. We have persevered. Al Samaud. Fatima Mohammadi. May 29, 2010. If allowed in, this will be my 3rd humanitarian aid convoy to Gaza. Each convoy has had its difficulties and its joys. The difficulty of this current convoy is that nearly 700 volunteers aboard 6 ships are attempting to enter the besieged strip through international waters, a completely legal activity, despite constant threats by the Israeli government to block, arrest and deport the entire convoy. These threats have 2 effects in my opinion. They highlight the severity and depth of the siege that Israel has imposed on Gaza for nearly 4 years, showing Israel to be the vicious occupier and instigator of hostility in the region that we know them to be, and they strengthen the resolve of volunteers around the world, on this convoy and beyond, who are aware of the plight of the Palestinians, and who actively seek a resolution to the unjust occupation and continued colonization of Palestine. Of course, the joy of this convoy is the real potential it has to finally end the siege on Gaza, if it gains enough international support and attention in the crucial upcoming hours. Currently, we are anchored in the Mediterranean Sea, about a 6-hour sail from Cyprus, where we have been awaiting 2 final ships. An American ship carrying members of parliament from half a dozen European countries is supposed to arrive shortly, and the Irish boat, the Mvrachel Corrie, follows shortly. We will soon set sail toward Gaza, straight toward the threats of Israel, to stop us at all costs, including by use of force. Rest assured, however, regardless of their tactics to stop us, force or delay, we will not turn back, nor will we allow the Israeli military to board our ships. The ships are now on their way. It is imperative to reiterate that this is an unarmed humanitarian aid convoy carrying the better part of 1,000 volunteers from 1½ years of age to 88 years of age, from more than 30 countries. What is surprising, however, is that although I was the only American on board as an IHH volunteer, traveling on my US passport, I have been joined by a few US citizens from various US organizations, including the Free Gaza movement, and discovered that we are 11 in all, including ex-military and government personnel, dual citizens, activists and medical volunteers. Most have been to Gaza at least once, and are used to dealing with the threats of oppressive regimes and direct conflict with their police and military forces. And most of us still hope and expect the United States to take an openly supportive role of this convoy and to pressure Israel to allow our convoy into Gaza to deliver aid. Only time will tell. In sum, we, the Americans on board the ships in this flotilla, and the collective we, volunteers and people of conscience from around the world, are relying upon the support of our fellow citizens and our respective governments, to pressure Israel to 1. Allow this humanitarian aid convoy into Gaza, and 2. Once and for all end this crippling and unjust siege of Gaza. As American as apple pie. By Greta Berlin. Cyprus, May 30th, 2010. The Free Gaza movement now has 2 boats included in the Freedom Flotilla that is on its way to deliver 10,000 tons of supplies to the imprisoned people of Gaza. The 3rd boat is being repaired. Our 2 passenger boats, Challenger 1 and Challenger 2, had mechanical problems on Friday, May 28th, and were pulled into ports in Cyprus. After Cypriot port authorities on the Greek side denied our request to pull in for repairs, Challenger 1 limped into the port of Famagusta on the Turkish side of Cyprus. Both boats are flagged and registered in the United States, which means they are US territory. Therefore we expect the US government to intervene if US property is wrongly confiscated by Israeli authorities as they have threatened. Israel has yet to return the Spirit of Humanity, which is registered under a Greek flag. From Greta Berlin, 2300 hours Cyprus time, May 30th, 2010. Lubna, Greta, urgent. We have a threat from Israel. Me, Lubna. What is happening? Lubna, 2 Israeli ships coming toward us. So glad to see you here. Me, please try to stay on this, so I can tweet it. Lubna, they contacted the ship, asked who we are and disappeared. Now they are getting close to the ship. We can see them. Stay here. 3 boats are coming, not 2. 3 Israeli boats, we are 78 miles from Israel. Me, I'll keep writing. Lubna, people here are putting on their life jackets, everybody preparing here. Me, okay. You are the lifeline to our Twitter account. Lubna, we may lose the wireless, we didn't expect them now, and we thought they would arrive at the morning. Please stay in touch with the other boats. Sent at 10:50 p.m. on Sunday. Me, we can't reach anyone. Sent at 10:52 p.m. on Sunday. Me, where are you? Are you there? Lubna has just reported that some kind of plane came over the ships, perhaps trying to block the satellite, and it looks suspiciously like a drone, which would make sense. Flotilla greeted by Israeli warships. Cyprus, May 31st, 2010. At 11 p.m. Cyprus time, and in international waters off the coast of Israel, the boats were contacted by the Israeli Navy. Who are you, and where are you going? Our reply was that we were part of a flotilla, and we were going to Gaza to deliver humanitarian supplies. On the radar, the boats could see 3 Israeli warships shadowing us, and 15 minutes later, a silent aircraft hovered over the flotilla. One of our Hebrew speakers had found Israel's strategy and posted it to us. We have many inside Israel who help us because they are outraged over what Israel does in their name. It stated, "You will be boarded by highly trained, very efficient, and very silent commandos. They will use silent inflatable boats to get to your boats and both try to board your boats directly from the inflatables, and by dropping divers into the water to climb onto the boats, so people were preparing for them to come up and over the sides of the ships." Lubna Marsola, Free Gaza's organizer on the Turkish passenger boat, said in outrage, "Very few times in history has a flotilla delivering humanitarian goods been welcomed by military warships. This is a call to the world from the people on the boats. We are a civilian people doing what our governments have refused to do, challenge Israel's right to collectively punish 1.5 million Palestinians in Gaza by blockading their right to their own sea. This flotilla is bringing construction and educational supplies the people of Gaza, and we are being met by Israeli warships. Civilians are under attack by Israel." By Free Gaza Team. Cyprus, May 31, 2010. 6:30 a.m. Under darkness of night, Israeli commandos dropped from a helicopter onto the Turkish passenger ship, Mavi Marmara, and began to shoot the moment their feet hit the deck. They fired directly into the crowd of civilians asleep and at prayer. According to the live video from the ship, 2 have been killed and 31 injured. Al Jazeera has just confirmed the numbers. Streaming video shows the Israeli soldiers shooting at civilians, and our last spot beacon said, "Help, we are being contacted by the Israelis." We know nothing about the other 5 boats. Israel says they are taking over the boats. The Coalition of Free Gaza Movement, FG, European Campaign to End the Siege of Gaza, ECESG, Insani Yardim Vakfi, IHH, the Padana Global Peace Organization, Ship to Gaza Greece, Ship to Gaza Sweden, and the International Committee to Lift the Siege on Gaza appeal to the international community to demand that Israel stop their brutal attack on civilians delivering vitally needed aid to the imprisoned Palestinians of Gaza, and permit the ships to continue on their way. The attack has happened in international waters, 75 miles off the coast of Israel, in direct violation of international law. Nobel-winning elders deplore Gaza flotilla attack. Johannesburg, May 31, 2010. The elders group of past and present world leaders, including former South African President Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, on Monday, condemned as completely inexcusable the deadly Israeli attack on a flotilla carrying aid for Gaza. At least 10 people are reported to have been killed when Israeli commandos raided the boats on Monday in an operation that has drawn international condemnation. The elders have condemned the reported killing by Israeli forces of more than a dozen people who were attempting to deliver relief supplies to the Gaza Strip by sea, the 12-member group said in a statement issued in Johannesburg, where it met over the weekend. The group, which was launched by Mr. Mandela on his birthday in 2007 to try to solve some of the world's most intractable conflicts, called for a full investigation of the incident, and urged the UN Security Council to debate the situation with a view to mandating action to end the closure of the Gaza Strip. This tragic incident should draw the world's attention to the terrible suffering of Gaza's 1.5 million people, half of whom are children under the age of 18, the group said. Israel's 3-year blockade of Gaza was not only one of the world's greatest human rights violations and illegal under international law, it was also counterproductive, because it empowered extremists in the Palestinian territory, they said. The elders include 6 Nobel Peace Prize winners, former UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan, former Finnish President Martti Ahtisaari, former US President Jimmy Carter, detained Burmese leader Aung San Suu Kyi, and Mr. Mandela and Tutu. Norway's first female Prime Minister Gro Brundtland, former Brazilian President Fernando Henrique Cardoso, former Irish President and ex-UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Mary Robinson, Mozambican social activist Graca Machel, Indian women's rights activist Ella Bhatt, and Algerian veteran UN envoy Lakhdar Brahimi are the other members. Cynthia McKinney mourns the dead of the Freedom Flotilla to Gaza. People of the US and the world must end Israeli impunity now. The 31st of May 2010. I'm outraged at Israel's latest criminal act. I mourn with my fellow free Gaza travelers, the lives that have been lost by Israel's needless senseless